Well, this is our intercession today, and as you see, it's lovely to have John Gillmer with us. John, we have missed you and Corrine in our presence, as we've missed everyone. But it's lovely to see you, and thanks for joining us. Just for the people's sake, to say that we're recording this on Friday afternoon, so I hope you've had a good Friday, and it's lovely just to be able to be in conversation with you. And this conversation, this brief one we're having today, is going to be our intercessory, it's our prayerful conversation. And so we haven't heard from you for a while. We spoke to you quite early on in lockdown. And so I wondered what it's been like for you, and for both of you, and for you and your family. How's this time been?
Hi, Rowan and everybody else. It's good to be with you, and a real privilege. Yeah, for us, in many ways, lockdown has been quite easy. We, don't need to be going all over the place, and I've been fortunate now that we can play golf. So that's what I've done this Friday morning.
Okay.
Got some exercise on the golf course and lovely weather, for which we're always very grateful on the golf course. But yeah, I think there is the other side to it, which is, always feeling you need to be distant from folk, no hugging, no shaking hands, that kind of thing, and especially with your grandchildren or your family.
Yeah.
And always being careful around others. Yeah, I think it gets a bit tiring.
Yeah, it's definitely exhausting, hey?
And
And there is a general sense, I think, in the world that we've kind of having enough now. It's
yes, I would agree with that. Enough is enough.
Yeah. And John, for our intercessions, I just wondered, it's lovely just to hear different people's perspectives, but we have so much going on in the world today. I mean, all over the place, with our national borders in terms of, so our neighbors, there's trouble in Zimbabwe. We have our own troubles in South Africa. We know the international scene is difficult. There's lots going on in our world that's difficult and wrong. So we're obviously not going to try and list all of that. But for you, what do you think needs special prayer at the moment? And my favorite phrase is, what's wrong with the world at the moment?
Yeah. I don't watch much news, partly because I get a little uptight, to put it politely. And I know it's easy to be judgmental, but then I do sometimes just sit and consider what is going on. And it's probably not a popular point of view, but it for me comes back to that three-letter word, sin, of which I is the center. And I include myself in my comments, or the comments are directed at me more than anybody else. But it just seems to me I is the center of it all. And you listen to politicians, you listen to business people, you listen to church people, you listen to your neighbors, and often it's about, how does this affect me? How does this touch me? And I'm not sure we're always looking to, how does it affect others? And sometimes when I think clearly, I say to myself, I need to be a lot more grateful that I have what I have and I am what I am. And I need to be a lot more considerate about other people and where they find themselves. And I think we just struggle, and I think it needs to be a matter of prayer for ourselves and for those around us and for our leaders and so on, that there be a more other-centered view. I struggle a lot, I must be honest, when I see people wanting positions.
Yes.
but they don't want to fulfill the responsibility, or as I see it. And again, I'm trying not to be judgmental, but in sometimes you have to judge. And so also for those who lead us, those who serve us, to be responsible and to take up the job that they have been appointed to perform. I don't know if that makes sense, but and I'm not saying their jobs are easy. I think it's a tough time for all.
But there is something deeply tragic about the fact, and we anticipated it, but that where there is at least some intent to provide relief, that that relief is going to be hijacked in one form or another, and like how much else that is infuriating.
It's a very difficult position our world finds itself in. Because also COVID-19 is making us self-protective. And so protecting others and serving others is not that, the focus is not always there.
So can I ask that? That was going to be my next question, because one speaks about the selfishness of political leaders is obvious, and civic leaders, we've seen lots of that. And then I want to say, do you think that because we're having to be self-protective and the way we are functioning at the moment, is there a sense for you that we are, in fact, even as a society now, being more introspective, more selfish, more closed? Or do you think that it still remains a balance, that there are people who are generous? And I know this is obviously true, but just what's your sense of that? Do you think, has this made us more selfish in any way, more self-focused?
Just before I go there, I am aware that there are a lot of people putting their lives on the line, and people serving selflessly. And for that I'm very grateful. But I do think, and sometimes I worry about myself even, that I am being self-protective, and I'm being therefore selfish. Obviously, I mustn't be stupid. I mustn't take chances. I'm in a high-risk category with COVID-19. But I sometimes think, aren't there things you can do, John, that would just reach out to others and bless them? I'm almost sometimes think retirement, along with COVID-19, makes you very selfish.
You
know what I'm saying? I've tried to do it with the odd phone call, phoning friends, how you doing, that sort of thing. But I guess there is more I can do.
I suppose one of the prayers we could pray, even though we are months, and we don't know how many months, but although we are months before we have a sense of genuinely emerging from this, but maybe one of the prayers we could be praying is, Lord, almost like, the Jesus picture of a seed falling into the ground and dying, that then there comes life, that Lord, let there be life out of us and through us after this, and that we don't stay entrenched in just a self-protective mindset, and we become, it might be one of the prayers we could pray here.
And that it wouldn't impact the world so strongly that in the future we're going to be more I-centered.
Indeed. And John, because unfortunately these conversations are always short, but did you have, as we start trying to draw to a close, do you have one or two other things that you might want to mention for us? Is there anything else that's on your heart?
The other thing, and I probably alluded to it earlier, is, this morning my three friends and I were walking on the golf course. We have this incredible weather. And as we converse, we kind of can easily go negative.
Yes.
And complain.
Yes.
There's much to complain about.
Yes.
But on the other hand, we're good for each other in this way. Often we just say to, no, hang on, just look at this weather. Look at this open air we're in. Look at the scenery around us. We still have the energy, we still have the fitness, the health to to actually play the game.
Yes.
And not very well most times, but we still play it.
Yes.
And just the gratitude that comes in that moment as you recognize all the blessing, in spite of the limitations of our time.
Yeah.
There is still much blessing.
Yeah.
And for me, gratitude, I think, changes my whole approach to life.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
wonderful.
need to remind myself of that all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be part of our prayer life of giving thanks to God. I've woken up this morning.
Yeah.
I've got energy. I've got health. I haven't got COVID-19.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so much to be thankful for.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, John, maybe just sum it up for us in some ways, and you could add to it if you wish. But I've heard you say that we're aware through sinfulness that we live in a world of sin, and that we are witness to much sinfulness around us, especially as it relates to COVID and COVID relief and the management of government and nation and more civic society at a local level. And so we're seeing the consequences of that and the devastation of that, and we want to pray for God's hand in the midst of that. I also heard you speak about that at a personal level, being able to say that it's a risk that all of us in our own particular and unique ways, but all of us might become so self-protective that we become individualized, and that there's a chance that because we're not able to be in community and together, that perhaps there is a risk, not saying it's happened, but the risk that we become so isolated and self-centered that there might be even a risk of us emerging with the same kind of hearts that we might have had beforehand. And we want to pray, as it were, that wouldn't happen. And then your final comment, which is very helpful, to be able to say that perhaps one of the things we need to ask the Lord to do is, Lord, give me a heart of gratitude, in the midst of all of these things.
Yeah, and just to say that maybe we need to begin our prayer with praise and gratitude.
Nice.
Start the day like that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I miss your presence, and I miss your collegiality, and I miss our sitting in the vestry, pondering over things, and so thank you for joining us in this very brief way, and just to kind of taste a bit of how we used to Newton Park worship happening. And please send the greetings not only of myself but and Sharon, but of our community, both to you and to Corrine this day. And we just pray, Lord, in your mercy, hear this conversation as our prayer today, in Jesus' name. Yeah. Bless you, friend.
And love and greetings to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bless you.